47 years since her comic book debut, and more than 20 years since her live-action debut, Storm's time might have finally come to star in her standalone project. But not before the possible brief cameo appearance Marvel could be planning in the upcoming Black Panther: Wakanda Forever movie, sticking somewhat to her origin story in the comics, and as to which actress will be playing the role, that one could prove to be a completely wild guess. One of Marvel's most famous and most powerful X-Men members is Ororo Munroe, aka Storm, a character that has had her fair share of screen time on the live-action side of things, making her debut way back in 2000's X-Men movie. And ever since that year, the mutant has grown in popularity, taking over the scene by storm, literally and figuratively, and now that Marvel has regained control over the X-Men and all the characters that fall under the same banner, rumors started to spread that there's supposedly a Storm movie already in development.
In fact, I thought that perhaps you might take my place someday.
Trusted sources are saying that there's a project in the works, however, we're still in the dark as to whether the project at hand is a movie or a series. Whatever the case may be, one thing we want to get out of all this would be a Storm standalone project, which would make Kevin Feige's intentions clear towards the mutants, with him slowly but surely bringing the beloved characters to the wider MCU.
The same thing that happens to everything else.
Plus, Storm would be a very good character to base a story on, as sure we got to see the character make several appearances in the film series, but it seems like the movies never quite depicted the character as probably many of us wanted, with her origin story still not explored to the fullest. There's a lot of potential to mine and a lot of source material to take bits and pieces from. One thing we're particularly interested in is the character's comic canon, such as Ororo being a descendant of a long line of African priestesses, which should play a big part in the MCU, has more than just a few fantastic representatives for black girls and women, with Letitia Wright as it stands right now leading the charge. More importantly, the rumors about Storm getting her own movie or series could also hint towards the notion in which way Marvel Studios are planning to introduce the mutants, and more precisely, what's the company planning for their future.
Logan, I'd like you to meet Ororo Munroe, also called Storm.
Kevin Feige has not been shy about teasing their appearance in the MCU. Everybody knows that they're coming, and their debut is quite inevitable, with the only question at hand being as to when that will be, a mystery for which we need an answer to, and fast. So with everything said, if this is the case, and the rumors appear to be true, we could be seeing a world in which the mutants will be introduced separately, and then after a while join in and star in their own movie. Something of how the members of the Avengers made their debut in their respective movies, and then all of them coming together to form a team, one that would be talked about for decades. And seeing how the first big team-up happened for Marvel Studios, we should not be surprised if they do it again, with some altered things along the way for sure to not make it repetitive and somewhat boring. What are we even talking about? How the group team-up of one of the most powerful mutants ever be boring, right?
It's about to get very cold in here.
The character has often drifted into the background, despite the character being played by huge stars like Alexandra Shipp and Halle Berry, with the latter having the most notable contribution to the role, with her number of portrayals being much higher than Alexandra's, having appeared in 9 of the 13 X-Men movies to date, 10 if you include Aurora's cameo appearance as a child in X-Men Origins. We think it's time Storm finally gets the significant role she deserves, one that will lead the charge on the battlefield. Alexandra Shipp herself has also joined the hype train about the Storm character and reflected upon her time as Storm. The actress showed a lot of gratefulness for the role and the opportunity given to her, as well as the reaction to her portrayal of the character after the 3 appearances of her version of Storm in the movies, X-Men Apocalypse, X-Men Dark Phoenix, and her brief cameo in Deadpool 2. Alexandra went on by saying that she loved the experience, which was a definitive part of her life in her 20s, with the entire project being the first big thing for her, with her being put in the role not in just one of her favorite characters, but also to fill in the shoes of the legendary Halle Berry, a huge honor on her part and something she said she would cherish for quite a while.
The forecast was for sunny skies.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So all in all, seeing how society is finally catching up with how important the representation is for everybody who sits and watches movies about characters everybody loves, it would be nice to see someone who would be perfect for the role of Storm. Now this doesn't mean that we'll get to see a darker-skinned Storm, but it's nice to know that somebody is rooting for it. And with that in mind, let's see which are the candidates for the role of Storm moving forward, as we think Marvel Studios will not recast Barry nor Shipp for the role, and start from the ground up, with the character herself receiving a new beginning, with a new actress to portray the role, something along the lines of how Spider-Man was recast with Tom Holland in the role, and Marvel telling an entirely new story with a new actor in the role growing together with the character within the MCU as time goes by. To start the list, we have Keke Palmer as one of the candidates for the role of Storm, who would be perfect if Marvel decides to feature Storm as a younger mutant, someone still coming into her power, or even during her early days of being worshipped as Weather Goddess, so the younger age of Keke Palmer would be a very good choice. Then there's DeWanda Wise, who almost appeared in Marvel Project, but due to scheduling conflicts, she had to drop out of it. She was supposed to play Monica Rambeau, but Lashana Lynch took over the role, so this leaves the door wide open for Marvel to yet again ask Wise for another role in their wide MCU. Another actor who's also a writer for most of the acting jobs she does is Michaela Cole, so if there is an open spot for a writer in the rumored project, maybe Cole's experience could bring a lot of dynamics between her writing the script for a character as well as playing that same character, something the likes of Marvel would surely be interested, at least we would be. However, primed for an introduction to the MCU, she might not be able to play Storm, but on the other hand, knowing that the project she's supposedly going to make her debut in is the upcoming Black Panther Wakanda Forever might mean she could indeed be ready for the role of Storm. After all, in the comics, Storm has been closely connected to the likes of Black Panther, with whom she had a love interest and was a ruler of Wakanda at one point during T'Challa's absence, so there's a chance that Marvel Studios has already found their actress for the role, and that it'll be her cameo in the Black Panther sequel that will announce the character for her future standalone project. Whatever the case may be, we think that the upcoming Black Panther Wakanda Forever movie will probably give us more bits and pieces about the character of Storm, with the movie's post-credit scene potentially signaling Storm's debut in the near future. On a related note, tell us down in the comments below what are your thoughts on the character so far. Do you think it's time for Storm to have her own project? And if that eventually happens, where would you like to see the story go? And which adaptation from the comics would you like to see get interpreted in the live-action MCU? As well as which actress would you pick for the role of Ororo Munroe? But also don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
No, but we can slow them down.